All right, we are live on Las Vegas Triathlon Club Facebook page. We are recording. I'm John Mercer, president of Las Vegas Tri Club. I got Bob Gamble, co-host of our member spotlight.
Good evening, folks.
How's it going, Bob?
Doing fine. Thank you.
You relocated to the kitchen.
Yeah, a little bit better light here, I think.
Excellent. Well, tonight we've got a guest that many people already know, but this will be fun to get a little bit more detail on Matt Olson's background in triathlon. And he is a board member. He's the vice president of the club and has been working with sponsors in particular to try to help support the club. And last year, was it last year you were an ambassador for the club? And so then moved you into the board position. And we love having you on the board and you bring some great ideas forward. You're obviously a hard worker and your love of triathlon really shows when we're coming up with ideas on how to, improve and work on the club. So thanks for your effort on the board. But it'll be fun hearing more about your triathlon. And I can't wait to hear about what you've got in store for 2021 still. But I'm going to turn it over to Bob for the official introduction.
Thank you, John. And once again, we have Matt Olson with us. A lot of people know Matt as the vice president of the club. And as John said, he's a hard worker, getting all the sponsorships and permits and does a lot of that work in the background. What a lot of people don't realize is just how freaking fast Matt is in the triathlons and from our club races when he does them to all the local races and races in San Diego again, the most recent one that just blew me away, doing a 5:14 at St. George in the half Ironman. That's pretty quick on that course.
Good.
And Matt has done, he's won the Las Vegas Sprint outright. I mean, we're not talking age group. We're talking he was the first across the finish line. Got some blistering fast times and in sprints. And what's interesting, if you look at his times in the Olympic, he does the same pace in the Olympic as he does in the sprints. So Matt is quite an accomplished triathlete for actually only having been doing it since like 2015. He hasn't been doing this for that long, and he's young, and so he's coming along pretty fast. We joined the club in 2017, Matt?
18.
2018. Okay, so we're excited to have Matt. And first of all, I'm just going to ask you, what makes you so fast? Where does your speed come from?
Oh man, we're
Start off with the hot question. That's great.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, everyone has different motivation on why they race. Starting out, clean actually got me into triathlon. And I guess just consistency. We've just been, it started out as kind of a fun thing. We do it together. We always train together. We race together. We go on vacation and race together. And I feel like the more consistently I've trained, the faster kind of I've gotten. I don't go out there trying to set the world on fire. I just do it and I try to, progress. And the faster I get, the better. At the end of the day, I don't I'm not Lionel Sanders. I'm not crying in the training room or anything like that.
That I'm glad you brought that up. You mentioned consistency, and that I need that more than anybody, and I know a lot of other people do. That the fact that just sticking with it and doing it on a regular basis and being consistent in your training. So I'm glad somebody as fast as you would cite that as one of the main reasons why you're so fast. Do you by any chance did you have a strength before you started triathlon?
So I was actually a soccer player growing up and through high school. So
you could sprint.
I kind of had a running background. Yeah, I played midfield. So, the ones that run up and back and forth and all around. So, but that was it. I had no swimming background. The only swimming I did was in the local lake in the town I grew up in. Cycling, we'd bike to school, stuff like that. And that was it. So,
but it seems to help having that running background though, because I've noticed your duathlons that you've done. I mean, heck, you do 19-minute 5Ks, and that's quick. that's under 6 minutes. So that's pretty impressive too.
Yeah, I didn't know that you had a soccer background. That's pretty neat.
I didn't either.
So did you played soccer in high school or?
Yeah, I played soccer until my senior year, where I actually dislocated my hip and tore my hip
Oh,
flexor.
oh,
So
wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Luckily, it's not something that bothers me anymore. I still, notice that I have a little bit of weakness in my right, hip flexor compared to the rest. But the first couple of years when we first started doing triathlons, it was something I had to kind of ease my way into.
Oh
So
boy. Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's pretty major. So did you score when you tore
so
it?
it's actually funny. So I did, but the reason I did it is I actually kicked the goalie.
Oh.
So yeah, I shot the ball. He knocked it down. He went to dive and jump behind it, and I kicked him and the ball.
Oh
So
no. So did you get a penalty and the goal was negated or?
to be honest with you, I was in so much pain. I have no idea
Oh.
what happened after that.
Oh
So
boy. Well, that's a pretty major, yeah, that's a big joint. That's a
That's a,
big,
yeah,
big
that's a major,
injury to
major injury.
overcome. So I can see why that consistent training is important. Okay, so now you said Colleen got you into triathlon. When was your first, now I gotta see, because we talked a little bit before. Should I say first triathlon or first multi-sport event?
you could say either or.
All right.
So my first was a reverse. It was Tinsel Tri in Hemet, California. It was just a reverse sprint. So you ran a 5K, you biked 12 miles, nice and flat, and then you swam 250 meters in the pool, I think. And that was December 2015.
How cool.
That's something I've never done, Matt, is like a brick like that, that's a reverse brick that after you come off the bike and then you get in the pool instead of running. How does that feel? What's it like to swim after that bike and run?
Well, so the first one was a little rough because I had never swam before. So I basically just kind of made my way to the next wall, went under the lane line, came back, made my way to the next wall. I think it took me, geez, I don't even remember what it was. It was somewhere around 10 minutes to swim 250. So it was pretty rough. But
How did you find yourself signing up for a triathlon, albeit reverse, knowing you were going to have to swim, but you weren't too confident in your swimming?
I like to wing things. So I just Clayton's like, let's do this. I was like, all right, let's do it. I'm pretty fearless. So um but yeah, the 5K at the beginning, it feels great, right? Running with
Oh
fresh
yeah, yeah.
legs. It's like 30 degrees outside in December in California. And you know, it was a holiday event. So I had my antlers on with my bells,
Oh,
and and everything. So um but yeah, the swim was interesting because obviously the water was heated. So it's like 80
Yeah.
degrees, right?
okay.
And the air's like 30 degrees. So you get in and it feels kind of like hot and ice.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Um, but then I spent quite a bit of time in there, so I
Oh,
got pretty
wow.
acclimated to it.
So I always like to hear after you finish that first one, in this case, you're getting out of the pool. And what was it like? Were you like, oh, I want to do this again? Or what was your immediate reaction? Do you
What was
remember?
it? What was I thinking when I
Yeah.
signed up? What was going through your mind when you finished that first one?
I don't like swimming.
Okay,
um,
pretty common.
but yeah, like everyone else. I mean, I think I got the itch right away.
Yeah.
And then, if you follow post that race, we just didn't stop. You know,
Mm,
we just kept going. We found, forward sprints, reverses, because they're pretty plentiful in California. They're pretty
Yeah.
much everywhere that has a pool has
mhm,
a reverse.
mm.
Oh, cool.
So
Tell me, what bike did you use? What bike did you use for your first try?
so my first bike that I bought was what was it? It was a giant TCR aluminum road bike.
I had one of those.
Yeah.
It was silver. It was like the aluminum frame. Mine wasn't painted. It was
I think mine was red,
okay.
if I do recall. And I bought it as kind of a project because I like to tinker on things. And I was like, oh, I can fix this before my next race. I learned really quickly that derailleurs are really hard to deal with. So I passed that bike on to the next schmuck in line. Um, and I got myself, it was like, I don't even remember. It was an old P2. I think it was before it was called a P2.
Mhm.
It was the silver one that has the black E on it, and it's like half carbon, half aluminum. And that's the bike I raced on for the first couple of years, actually.
Oh, wow. All right, so let's get from multi-sport where you're doing reverse tries all over the place to your first triathlon. When did you do an official swim, bike, run order?
So my first official triathlon was a Tricker Tri, which is in California.
Mhm.
And it's in October. It's, I mean, right around Halloween. So, and that was just I think that was it's a 300-yard normal swim.
Okay.
So I
In the pool now, or you're out open water?
so it's in like a water retention basin, basically. So it was open water.
No.
But I had a wetsuit at that time. The pool or the water's chlorinated.
Oh,
So it was pretty nice water. It was October, so obviously it was pretty warm. But that one, I definitely had a tough time in the swim as well.
yeah.
Well,
Tell
yeah,
us.
it wasn't really until so Colleen raced Worlds in 2017, I believe it was. And I had signed up for the open division at Worlds in the Netherlands. And it wasn't until then where I really was like, all right, I got to get in a pool. I got to start learning how to swim. So
Everybody else around me is going to be fast. Like,
yeah,
I got to do something.
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And it was a longer swim. It was like 750 or something of that sort. So I was like, oh man, I can like doggy paddle with a wetsuit 250, 300, but 750, that's quite the distance. So
Well, this is great for people to hear that this is where you started, especially in the swim. Obviously, your run's been strong all along, but it's neat to see how you progressed there. So, how did you approach improving your swimming at that point?
YouTube. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. There was days where Colleen and I would go to the gym. I would swim, watch YouTube, swim until I couldn't swim anymore, which at that time was maybe like 500 in the pool. And I would go hang out with all the guys in the hot tub while she finished her, her big long set. So, and I just slowly increased over time. I think the big game changer was when I learned how to breathe. It's never a fitness thing. Everyone can swim. Everyone can, balance in the water, pull themselves along. The hardest thing is I was trying to swim fast and I couldn't breathe. I was out of air before I hit 25. I was trying to breathe every 3 strokes. And then once I started to slow down, learn to breathe, and I breathe every stroke or every other stroke, that was the big game changer. And I could swim 2000 out the gate then,
Yeah,
But that
that
is-
you relax and get balanced. Yep.
Yeah, that is great advice.
Right.
Don't try to swim fast, but swim smart. That's really that's a really good key. All right, so
And you end
now,
up being faster. When whenever you slow down, relax, and don't try to swim fast, you're faster.
all right, so what year was this that you started the triathlons?
I would say officially 2017.
Okay, and then you signed up for Worlds event in the Netherlands?
Yes.
All right, so now you prep for that. What was the distances of that event?
It got canceled. The open class got canceled. It got rained out.
Did
So
it?
yeah. So I went out there and I rode with Team USA with the crew. We did all the practice runs and bikes and all that stuff. And then it rained every single day except for the main event. So they canceled the open event because there just wasn't time with the weather. So
Oh, wow.
How did you get hooked up with the Worlds in Netherlands? I mean, it's like.
Well, Colleen qualified for World. She raced for Team USA that year.
I'm sorry.
Colleen raced for Team USA that year.
Okay.
So we went over to the Netherlands. Yep.
Oh, man. So you did all that training. Obviously, you're in the Netherlands, so you still enjoyed it. But so what did you do afterwards then? What were you like when it got canceled? What was your mindset? And were you starting to search the internet for another race to sign up for?
I was super happy it got canceled because I still wasn't super confident swimming.
Okay.
So, I mean, to this day, I'm not super confident. But yeah, then my next race, I signed up for Trick or Try again.
Okay.
So I went a whole nother year of doing duathlons.
Mhm.
And then my first big real open water swim was Wildflower 2018.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was right.
So tell everyone what the distances for Wildflower are.
So Wildflower is a 70.3.
Mhm.
They have they had all three distances, but it is the difficulty of St. George, the same weather as St. George, and the run is a trail run.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was also the collegiate national championship that year,
Ah,
and I was in that age
okay.
group.
Yep.
So I got ran over, beat up, destroyed.
Yeah, you
The
got your
first
rear
two,
end handed to you.
yeah, the first 200 are probably the roughest 200, even not, being able to swim before that. It was rough, but once I got past that, I just slowed down, remembered everything. I ended up doing, I think, like a 42-minute swim, which
Okay.
is okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that was my first real big open water swim, was a 70.3. So
All right, so wait, did you camp out for Wildflower or
no,
no? Okay.
we stayed. It was too big of a deal for us, so we stayed in Airbnb.
Oh,
So
good. Nice.
um,
Okay, so you're getting to swim, you're getting beat up by all these other college kids. And you get out at 42 minutes. What's in your mindset as you head to the bike at that point? Were you feeling pretty good?
yeah. I mean, I was feeling good. I was like, oh man, 42 minutes. That's really where I wanted to be. That's around two minutes 100. And I was like, okay, I'm happy with that. I slipped getting out on the boat ramp, because when you've never swam that far before,
Yeah.
you're really disoriented when you stand up.
Oh yeah, you stand up like
So
that, it's like you're groggy almost.
yeah, so got that, ran up the boat ramp. It's a pretty steep boat ramp. I want to say it's like a 10% incline or something like that for like, 3/4 or half a mile maybe. And then got out on the bike. I was feeling good. I was passing people left and right.
Awesome.
You climb right out the gate. I'm a pretty strong climber, so I was happy with it. I've taken in all my nutrition, practicing. I was super excited. And then just like St. George, mile 40, there's a hill. You turn a corner, it's a nice big steep hill, just like Snow Canyon. And then you turn another corner and the hill keeps going. Yeah, and then you come back downhill into transition. And then you head out on the run. That's where it all went south.
Oh, really? Oh, tell us about this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I ran, so it's about 90, 95 and sunny out at this point in time. My bike was just over 3 hours. I think it was, if I recall, it was like 310, something of that sort. It's like 3,500 feet elevation. And then I used the restroom at the first aid station, but I skipped the first 3 aid stations.
Was that
And I was,
strategic, or were you doing that on purpose, or what was no? Okay.
no, I felt good.
Yeah.
I felt hydrated. I'd peed on the bike,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm golden, I was running along at like a 7:30 pace, just enjoying my day. And then mile 3 just hit me, and it hit me like a truck. So, yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure everyone, and I've experienced, I've bonked on almost all of my 70.3s I've done. I pretty much walked the last 10 miles.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Well, but that's that toughness and fortitude that you have, and yeah, but it's painful at the same time. I know when you're on the trail, and that's not an easy time to deal with. So, what was it like when you finally hit the finish line?
I was so exhausted. My face was beet red from being overheated. I was trying to take in all this nutrition. I really, obviously it's a euphoric feeling. There's nothing like it, right? When you cross the finish line, 70.3 is such a great distance, because it's that distance where you barely have enough time to start thinking about your life decisions. It's borderline. I haven't done a full yet, but I have a feeling you have a lot more time to think, and it becomes a little more mentally exhausting. But 70.3, you get that at a time, and you're like, oh man, should I have made that move?
Should I have hammered that hill so hard?
Yeah, it was a great feeling, and that was the year that Rudy Bamberg took the title from Jesse Thomas, who had won it 6 years in a row. That was my first experience with Rudy Bamberg, who I'm a huge fan of, especially since he's so up and coming. And but yeah, I didn't want anything but to sit there and just sit there, and cool down. And it was actually so hot that we were getting back on the shuttle to go back up to the parking area, and a guy in the tent in front of us, he fainted.
Oh no.
He passed out right in front of us, just collapsed and hit the ground. So we were all giving him our ice towels, medics came running. It was hot. It was a hot situation. So
that's tough to read.
Question on that. You're bonking it. Was it bonking or did you cramp? And
it was both. So myself, I know when I dehydrate, and a lot of people may be this way, I get really bad stitches. And that's kind of my thing. Some people throw up, some people, I always get it. And I can get it in a sprint if I don't watch my hydration. And I burn through quite a bit of fluid and a lot of electrolytes. I can go through a full bottle easily in 3 miles of running. So go ahead.
My question is going to be, if you hadn't hammered that hill so hard, was it a pacing thing? Do you think you would have been able to run a little stronger in the run, like dialing it back in that bike?
I think my major mistake was skipping the nutrition stations, because you don't start processing that nutrition right away.
Okay.
I was still processing that nutrition off the bike, where I felt great. I was well hydrated coming off the bike. I used the restroom at mile 1, but since I didn't take anything in that first 3 miles, I had no fuel. Once it started to dip into that, that fuel storage, there was nothing left.
Flip the light switch. It's like it's empty, right?
Yeah. It was like, no more gas in the tank. So.
Well, you know what? It's great. It sounds terrible, but it's great to experience that. And you really crammed in a lot of experience right from the get-go with all the multi-sport, and then this event. All right, but now, how soon after that event did you say, "Boy, I want to do that again"?
So that one was in May, and then I signed up for Trick or Try 70.3 in October. So I did that. 5 months later. So
and you crushed that from what I remember on your speed.
Yeah. I mean, I've been consistently getting faster over the 70.3 distance, just because you learn so much each time. Each time you learn so many new lessons when it comes to, the fourth discipline is my major, point of contention. I have issues with it. So you get further and further each time. You get better, better hydrated, better fueled, all of that. But I still bonked towards, I think, mile 8, mile 10. That's always a pretty rough mile. So.
Yeah, it's a jigsaw puzzle trying to put those pieces together. So now you've got this experience under your belt, and what are you aiming for in 2021?
So I'm racing Oregon in 2 weeks. And I don't usually feel this way, but I'm feeling quite a bit of pressure to try to punch my ticket to Worlds.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to go out. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm building, but not super, not a lot, but feeling pretty good. My goal at St. George was to break 5 hours, but I had dealt with some knee issues starting my final big build run prior to it. So once I kind of had that issue with my knee, I stopped training immediately before St. George. And that was like 2.5 weeks out. So I didn't train for 2.5 weeks up to St. George.
That's a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of just showed up. I was like, 5 hours might be a little unrealistic. So I'm just going to go out and do what I can. And that's what I do every race. I go out, and I do what I can. And, I burn what hay is in the barn.
Yep.
So.
That's a great way to approach it, and to be flexible with your expectations. Race to race. That's really good.
Yeah, that shows that you think during your races instead of just saying, I've got this goal, I'm going to hit this goal. It's like you adapt
Hmm.
and adjust to how you're feeling. Yeah, that's a smart way to race.
All right, so you got Oregon 70.3 in 2 weeks, and then
Yep. Hopefully St. George in September. Actually,
yeah,
I really don't hope for St. George in September.
yeah, right.
Doing it in May was enough. And it's only getting hotter. So, and then I have Ironman California in October. So that's going to be my first full Ironman. A long time ago, I made a promise to Colleen that 2020 was going to be the year we were going to do an Ironman event.
Okay.
And this is when we first started doing triathlons. I was like, all right, 2020 is the year. Well,
Ah,
2020 came and she held me to it. And so we registered one night, got on the phone with all our friends, said, all right, we're all going to click the button for Arizona 2020. So we all were registered for 2020. We were all ready to go. And then 70.3 went off. This is great. And then COVID cases
yeah.
spiked right afterwards.
Mm,
And they made the tough decision a couple weeks beforehand. They were canceling the race.
mm.
So California it is.
Yeah, and so you were able to defer to California from Arizona.
I actually deferred to St. George
Oh, you deferred to, okay.
from, yep. So I deferred to St. George because it was either that, Tulsa, or a couple other ones that were logistically more difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
And St. George is only a couple hours away. We had, friends that had a place.
Hmm.
So you deferred to the 70.3 or the,
Yes.
okay.
Yep. Yep. And then we paid for California. We
Yep.
tried to get our registration switched around, but Ironman is pretty strict during the COVID times when it comes to, registration. So
Well, that's exciting. So Ironman California, and you've got a big group going too. So that's going to be fun. Where do you find yourself putting your focus? I know, swimming, you're always trying to improve, but where do you find yourself zeroing in on to prep for that?
staying healthy is my big thing. I've had that issue with my knee I've been holding on to, or it's been holding on to me since St. George. And we've messed with some stuff, some positioning on the bike, some run form, stretching, rolling, because nobody stretches and rolls until it's too late. So we've been
It's
doing a lot of
supposed
stretching
to
and
be
rolling
preventive, but everybody
consistently.
goes, I'm hurt now. I've got to,
Yeah.
I've
So
got to try to fix this.
yeah, I want to get across the finish line alive, and I want to enjoy the race,
Yeah.
and I'm sure as I get closer to the race, my expectations will increase a little bit.
Mhm.
But I'm going to keep them realistic because it's a lot of time to mess things up.
Mhm.
um, you know and something as little as eating the wrong food in the first mile of the run can cost you hours.
Mhm.
So I'm going out with expectations, trying to keep, or pretty basic expectations, trying to stay consistent in the training, stay healthy, and have a lot of fun. We have a
Yeah.
good group of people going. It's going to be fun.
That's a great way to approach it. You don't put the pressure on, and just go and soak in the experience, and then go from there. So that's a great way to go. All right, so
That's
now,
really, that's really good to hear you say how well you're taking care of your health and your injuries.
yeah.
And I have no idea why John didn't say, are you listening, Bob? Because that's what he always said. That's what he
I'm
always
known
says
for
when somebody
injuries.
brings up about, I'm going to take care of myself.
No, you're spot on, Bob, and yes, Matt, that's a great. I mean, you want to get to the start line as healthy as possible. That's the key. So that gives you your best chance to having a great day. All right, so now this is going to be a fun question for you, though. You've done all these different multi-sports, reverse, forward, all different iterations of triathlon. You've done a half, you've done Olympic sprint. You've had success at all these different distances. What is your favorite distance?
That's a tough one. It really depends. So I really enjoy sprinting. It's fun. It's so fun going out there, getting together with the community, pushing yourself super hard. Like I don't have super high expectations of myself. I go out and I just do my best. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to race a little bit with Roto, with Mario, with Randall, and all the guys. But I go out and I just do my best, but I think I enjoy the 70.3 the most, because it's more of a mental race. It's not, you're not redlining the whole thing. You're thinking about nutrition, you're waving to all your friends, you got people cheering you on. And the finish line is just amazing, no matter the event. Because I've done 3 grassroots 70.3s and an Ironman 70.3. All of them have their pros and cons, but all of them feel amazing when you cross the finish line.
Mhm. Oh, that's great. Okay, so now I love that answer. Now I'm interested in your proudest moment.
Ooh, that's a tough one. So there's a couple. It's hard to. So Colleen and I, one time, her aunt was racing Tough Man Utah in Provo, and I think this was 2017. And I couldn't swim. I had still no idea how to swim. And her aunt texted us and was like, "Hey, just FYI, there's an algal bloom in the lake in Provo. They turned it into a duathlon." And I'm getting my car's oil change. I'm like, "Colleen, let's do it." So this is Friday night. The race is Saturday morning. We're here.
I love that.
It's a solid drive.
Yeah.
We drove the entire night and showed up in the parking lot because we forgot about the time change for the race start. And we raced the duathlon.
I love it. That's the way to do it.
So I think, yeah, and there was another, I bonked again.
Yeah.
This time I know I pushed it way too hard on the bike because I came off and my quads were they wouldn't move. They were just rocks. So I actually turned around and walked backwards and found Colleen, and we finished together.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah. So we
And it
finished
just
Tough
sat
Man
sit in the
Utah.
car for 6 hours.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. At least 6 hours. I don't even know. We slept off and on. We traded positions. We were like getting coffee. We got coffee at that stop in Arizona. It was all, yeah. So
That is great. I love that story. Now that goes right along with your fearless sort of mindset of, let's throw caution to the wind. Let's race tomorrow. Let's drive and and get there. That's awesome.
yeah. Yeah. And I think, a lot of these races, I could perform better. I could set my focus, my sights on this race, do my builds, have everything planned out 100% for this race. But I like to make triathlon work kind of around my lifestyle. I'm training for this race, yeah, in 6 months or the full, but hey, let's do Las Vegas Tri,
Mm.
let's drive up to Oregon in 2 months and let's do that one.
Now,
So
this is good to hear you saying, let's have fun.
Yeah.
Let's make triathlon fun. Let's not make it a job.
Hmm.
That's a great message.
And you're having fun and you're having some great successes. And that is really, so neat to see. And, I've seen you, going on this really great trajectory this last couple of years. It's been neat to see. And it's going to be fun to track you up in Oregon and then track you on Ironman California Day. Matt, this has been great talking with you. I had no idea of your hip injury that you had to overcome, which is pretty severe. And I love this fearless attitude. This is great.
yeah, thank you guys for having me. It was about time, right?
Well,
Yeah,
well,
yeah, it is. That's right. Yeah, I was thinking my brain's working a little slow. Yeah, we needed to get you on. That's right. But and we should give a shout out that you're on Team Zoot as well.
Yeah, yeah. It was actually a decision we made in 2000, going into the 2019 season.
Yeah.
So, it's a lot of fun. It's a great community. It's huge.
Yeah.
Every race, there's hundreds of Team Zoot members. Everyone supports each other, calls out. Fortunately, we haven't had the opportunity to do too many races as Team Zoot yet. So
Yeah.
we're excited to get out there and, represent both Las Vegas Tri and Team Zoot. So
Yeah, no, you're a great representation of the Tri Club. So thank you for doing that. And it's so great to have you on the board. So great to have you doing all the events and really encouraging others. It's really a lot of fun. So you're a big part of the community. So thank you. All right,
Matt, thanks so much for being on with us.
we are going
Yeah,
to
of course.
sign off. And again, thanks, Matt. This has been fun. And we'll see you at the Aquabike this weekend.
Yep.
All right. Have a good evening.
All right. You guys too. See ya.
We'll see you. See you, folks.